Hello, welcome. I'm Chloe. It has been a while since I shared an astrology update. 2025 has been an intense year for myself as well, but I'm ready to, dive back in and let you know what's been going on. So this talk specifically is about the astrology overall of the times that we're living through now, 2024, 25, 26, 27. I'm going to be focused on the transits of the outer planets, so Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, obviously the personal planets, social planets, they're ingressing into new signs all the time. That's not necessarily something we're going to be getting into in this video, but the outer planets, um, all ingressing into new signs. This is the paradigm shift that we're feeling, right? This is why it feels like there is no foundation, that we need to come up with new ways of doing everything. Every part of our lives is like up in the air at this point. So it's important to me. I've been planning this talk for a while. It's important to me to look at this through an empowering lens, to offer this guidance that's going to be, assuring and motivating and, having that balance of not necessarily light washing it either and telling you that do nothing and everything's going to be okay. And the powers that be will just give you your power back and your rights will be protected, right? Um, I'm not that type of person. So in that case, we might be misaligned, but otherwise, let's dive in, right? So astrology of these times, 2025, outer planets changing signs, um, through this lens of empowerment, through a guided, empowered, supported lens. Our theme for this era, I really feel, is like power and potential, potential for world building, right? And this opportunity to really be who we came here to be. So I'm an evolutionary astrologer. I'm a consulting astrologer. I also teach classes in addition to private consultations, one-on-one sessions. I do group readings as well. I'm a tarot reader, and I do have a program coming up. If you'd like to learn how to read your own natal chart with me, that's the Celestial Spiral, and it's beginning on August 23rd, 2025. So you can check out my website if you would like to sign up for that program. The best way to learn astrology, the most straightforward way to learn the language of astrology is through the lens of your own astrological soul map, your natal chart, your birth chart. By understanding your different placements, the aspects, that's going to give you all the tools you need to look at the language of astrology outside of yourself, in the world, and also for your friends and family as well too. So it's a great foundational program, but it's thoroughly comprehensive. Foundational yet comprehensive. It's going to be 6 weeks and 8 classes. Everything, of course, is recorded for your lifetime access. So hit me up if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can just save your spot on my website, chloeoracle.com. I'm on YouTube as well, YouTube and Instagram. Right? And I've been super into my newsletter lately. I've been pouring my heart and soul into my newsletter. So if you'd like to sign up for that, again, let me know, or there should be a link in the show notes. All right. So 2024, 25, 26, 27, we are in a paradigm shift. We have never had all this cosmic change simultaneously. So celestial energy is always shifting. The personal planets, they're entering new signs all the time, right? The sun spends 30 days in a sign, the moon only 2.5 days. So I think with like the inundation of information and pop astrology out there, it's like Mercury's in retrograde again. Oh no, make a big thing. Like Mercury's in retrograde half the time. Mercury takes, 1 year to transit the zodiac, just like the sun. So Mercury's changing signs all the time, on average once a month. Obviously, with the orbit and retrogrades, sometimes they Sometimes they will stay, longer in one sign versus another, but like overall, it's a year. They're making their yearly cycle through the zodiac, right? Venus only stays 20 days in a sign. So when we're talking about like Venus is in Leo now, Venus is in Capricorn, like these things happen all the time every year. Okay. So it gives us the illusion that there are these massive changes happening all the time, and it could be overwhelming. But personal planets, they represent parts of ourselves, right? So we're always going through these changes. This is what we live through all the time, month after month, year after year. Different celestial bodies are activating different parts of our own natal chart. Our friends and family, we are going through it all the time, right? And even social planets. Jupiter spending about a year in each sign. It has that 12-year orbit. Saturn's like what, 28, 29-year orbit, spending like 2.5 years in each sign. So it's not such a huge thing when the social planets ingress into a new sign either. However, what's unique about this time is not only are all the personal planets changing signs, and the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn into Aries, of course, and making that square, the tense aspect to Jupiter and Cancer. Not only the personal and social planets, but all the outer planets are ingressing into new signs as well. And that's what's making this time feel like there is so much change upon us, because there is. Outer planets are different than personal planets, right? They can only be seen by a telescope. Their orbits are much longer, much slower, and their impacts happen on a collective level, not so much on the personal level. So these are the planets that spend years and years in each sign: Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. They're known as the outer planets are also known as generational planets or transpersonal planets. So you'll hear me use those terms interchangeably. So transpersonal planets, they're going to stay in a given sign from anywhere between 7 to 20 years. Okay. These represent the outer planets, cultural shifts, cultural movements, progressive movements, big changes in the collective. Different generations are going to have different goals and new priorities come up, right? Transpersonal planets represent major collective and cultural shifts. So we're in a time where the planets that specifically represent collective and cultural shifts are all shifting. That's the energy that's moving right now through the collective, is the movement of collective energy. So currently, when I'm filming this, it's summer 2025, it's August 2025. All three generational planets have ingressed into new signs. So this is the paradigm shift that we're feeling now. This is why everything feels in flux, because it is. Everything is changing. Generational planets move slow, so the changes don't happen overnight. In hindsight, we'll be able to identify major themes, major collective cultural shifts in a given area, but this is in hindsight. That said, we can also, learn astrology, right? And like know what planets mean and know what signs mean and get like an idea of the flavor. It's really cool as well too. I love looking at like historical transits and historical information, so we can look to past transit and get an idea of what the vibe is going to be. But it's never exactly the same, because like we live in the present and there are other influences as well. We don't live in the past, we live in the present. It is no longer the 1700s, for example, so things are going to be different, right? It's no longer 1948, so things are going to be different. There are common themes. There's going to be common threads, common energy. So of course, like I said, you look to the energy. What does this planet mean? You can look to the energy of the sign. What does this sign mean? And then you synthesize that information. So the first outer planet to ingress was Pluto. Pluto is the excavator. Pluto brings up to the surface like energy that's ready to be transmuted, outdated ways of being, outdated system. Pluto brings that to awareness by excavation, toxicity that's ready to be alchemized. So we begin our 20-year Pluto and Aquarius cycle. This began November 2024 after being in Capricorn since 2008. So Pluto first ingressed into Aquarius in March March or May in spring 2023. And then, of course, we had like the retrograding backwards and forwards, in and out. And then, yeah, finally in November 2024, made that final for the long haul ingress into Aquarius. Neptune was the next planet to ingress into a new sign. So Neptune is the mystic. Neptune is confusion. Neptune is dissolving of boundaries, right? Neptune had been in Pisces since 2011, and in March of this year, March 2025, Neptune ingressed into Aries, where they will stay until March 2039. And most recently, we had Uranus, who is like the great disruptor. Uranus had been in Taurus since 2018. And then this July, just last month, July 2025, Uranus moved into a Gemini. And Uranus will stay in Gemini until May 2033. So like we experienced with Pluto going into Aquarius first in 2023, then retrograding back, ingressing again, really feeling like that back and forth energy. And is it in? Is it out? Is it at the 29th degree? Is it at the 0 degree? Vastly different energies, right? So we're going to go through that same thing with Uranus and Neptune, because Uranus and Neptune in March and July of 2025 this year, they've just first dipped into their new signs. So throughout 2025, 2026, we're going to experience Uranus and Neptune retrograding back into Taurus, retrograding back into Pisces, moving forward again, ingressing again. They're not settled into their new signs, Gemini and Aries, until 2027. So not only is everything shifting, but we're in this time really of upheaval, because it's going back and forth and back and forth. And like the one last gasp of like, whatever outdated system is, coming up so we can like abolish it and build something better, right? It's like, you're still here? Wow. Wow. Really, guys? Seriously. So when we take a look at like, we zoom out and look at like the big picture, we can see that these three planets are moving from earth signs and water signs into fire signs and air signs. So vastly different energy, right? Receptive energy to active energy. Pluto was in Capricorn, Uranus was in Taurus, Neptune was in Pisces. So we had these planets in earth and water signs. Now they're moving into air and fire signs, right? So Pluto moving from Capricorn, the earth sign, right, into Aquarius, an air sign. Uranus was in Taurus, an earth sign, now moving into Gemini, an air sign. And Neptune was in Pisces and in their home sign since 2011, a water sign, similar to themselves, to their own energy. Neptune very much at home and comfortable. Delulu, Delulu, but comfortable in Pisces, now ingressing into Aries, vastly different energy, fire energy, that passion, that creative spark, aggressive even, though assertive. So moving from receptive to active, just different, right? Like obviously we need both. There's no good or bad. There's no right or wrong, but this is like, overall the big pattern when we zoom out, right? So this upheaval, the next couple of years, it's not going to feel settled. We are unsettled. Okay, we're not settling. These planets are not settling into their new signs for a couple more years. So new cycles are beginning, old cycles are ending, but this is happening slowly and it's happening intensely. The outer planets are slow and they are intense. So we've been in this era, the earth and the water era, we've been feeling, we've been being, and we've been consuming. Okay, consumption, feeling, being. These are major themes for, for earth and water signs. And like when we're talking about generational shifts, right? Everyone was consuming because that's like, part of receptivity, right? Consumption is like, doesn't have to be a shadow, but I think in this case, I do sort of like, want to give that perspective, right? That consumption could be overconsumption, could be a shadow for receptivity. So moving from feeling, from being, from consuming into connecting and creating, right? The air signs Gemini and Aquarius are connectors. They are about people. Air signs are about relationships, they're about communication, and then Aries is that creative spark, right? They are the first sign in the zodiac. They are the spring equinox, that passion, that assertion, that desire, the motivation, the creative life force energy. That's Aries. So moving into a time of connection and creation. Mind over matter, right? We're moving into an era of mind over matter, of action over emotion, action over just being and seeing like, oh, maybe someone else will fix it, maybe it'll just work out. Actually taking action, right? So some themes of this new paradigm that we're moving into. Like I said, think about the Aries energy, passion, creativity, innovation. Innovation is also a great Aquarius word. Courage, desire, passion, action, inspiration, also aggression. There could be some aggression. Thinking about like the air side of things, still innovation and inspiration. Aquarius is very innovative. They're the visionary, right? But like intellectual, detached. Gemini's very intellectual as well. They're here to share information. So air age themes are going to be like intellect, technology, being more like mental rather than emotional. Again, focus on community, on connection, communication, sharing information, and so much misinformation. That's really going to be something to watch out for, and something that we're going to need to be discerning about. Um, yeah, all the information of Gemini, and then there's like Neptune is confusion, and then like this onslaught of new tech from like Gemini, pardon me, from Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. Like definitely gotta practice our discernment when it comes to misinformation. I think humanity, connection, definitely big themes. But when we think about like Pluto's role in all of this, like Pluto's not going to fix us. Pluto's not going to like, and the people have had their revolution and we are all free. Ta-da! Pluto excavates and brings up the shadows, right? Like we saw with Pluto in Capricorn, financial crisis, real estate bubbles, corporate corruption, government corruption. Like Pluto didn't fix this, but brought to mass awareness. So, of course, like some fringe people were aware of this, but certainly it wasn't something that, like the corporate government corruption, lobbyists influencing policies, like people not having a say. Like, you think democracy is one thing, and then it's like you're in for a rude awakening. Was Pluto and Capricorn. So those things were brought to the surface, excavated, so they could be dealt with. And Pluto in Aquarius is going to show us the shadows of humanity. So we're going to like, be taking a hard look at ourselves. It's one of the opportunities, and like it's definitely going to be, difficult to look at, right? So we can easily, look up major events from the last time these planets were in these signs, right? Like people are like, oh, Uranus and Gemini, it was World War II, Neptune and Aries, that was like the US Civil War, and then Pluto and Aquarius, obviously like all those revolutions, Haitian Revolution, French Revolution, right? So it's very interesting to yeah, to look up information about past transits, see where we are now, zoom out, how might this apply to life, in 2025, right? When you're looking up any kind of astrological information, I'm an Aquarius, love technology. Um, I definitely recommend using a search engine. And what you're going to want to do is, yeah, just like take off the option for AI, like minus AI in your search engine. And then that way it's going to give you the results like several different articles you can read. And I recommend taking in the information that way, because then you're going to be able to spot different patterns and have that repetition and that recognition. And that's how we learn is through recognition of patterns and through repetition. So if you only take a look at the AI summary, you might have like an accurate synthesization, or it doesn't even have to be accurate. Disclaimer, not always accurate, but you're not digesting it and that in the same way. Your brain doesn't work in the same way. You don't have as many, neurons firing off as when you're actually like reading the three articles, thinking about like, this is what I'm going to take away from it, moving forward, integrating, having that information. It's just like kind of in one ear, out the other if you just read, the summary. So when you're doing historical research, or if you're looking up like, I have Mars in Cancer. What does Mars in Cancer in the seventh house mean, right? I recommend reading several different sources and then, synthesizing that for yourself. Of course, you could also get a reading. I love doing birth chart readings. So, get in touch if that's something that you're interested in. I would love to support you. But for your own research, definitely recommend search engine, like the old school search engine, rather than using AI. So not just for your own benefit, but these exercises in cognition and exercises in discernment, is going to be really supportive for us, because having sharp critical thinking skills is going to be important for us going forward into this new paradigm because of all the misinformation. So making sure our critical thinking skills are sharp, definitely want to be, prioritizing that. Imagination is important too, because we're building this new world together. The future is not written. Everything is falling apart. So we get to decide and use our power to collaborate, dream up what it is we want the world to look like, and then, implement that in conjunction and collaboration and cooperation with our guides, with our spirit team, with like people in our community, right, who want the same things. So imagining a world we're creating together, creative channels are important. Keeping your channel clear, your energetic hygiene, your energy clearing practice, grounding. We need to be able to discern what is real, because as technology progresses, it's going to be more and more difficult to, yeah, to discern what is even real. So a big part of my responsibility in this lifetime is to be a bridge, is to be, a connector for you all. I am a cosmic oracle, and I do share teaching from the stars. I'm also an Aquarius, so I'm pretty radical. I'm a visionary disruptor of the status quo. I'm not going to like sugarcoat or light wash this for you. But there's major power and major potential in these energies right now. And I think that we should be harnessing this power and harnessing this potential to move in a direction that we would like to move in, right? So this is just the time that we're in. I am absolutely attuned to the cultural climate, to the zeitgeist, and I'm also a Pisces moon. So the Aquarian part of me is like understanding like what the collective is thinking and what that vibe is. But then the Pisces moon at 29 degrees, I can feel what everyone is feeling. I feel like what the collective is feeling. So, feeling all the feelings, thinking all the thoughts, my lived experience is intense. It can be overwhelming. So, I do have strict energetic hygiene practices. I will get more in depth in my upcoming chart reading program. Of course, if that's, something you're interested in, tapping into intuition, keeping your channel clear, how do you access your intuitive gifts? This is all found based on like configurations in your birth chart, right? Every chart is unique. We all have different gifts. We all have different responsibilities. So I have a lot of hope that we are evolving and that we could very much be going in the right direction. So many people are waking up to reality, doing the hard work, doing the healing, becoming self-actualized, and feeling compelled to no longer be complacent, feeling compelled to take that aligned action. And gifts are coming online, new levels of new intuition, or you could even just say like objectively, like people are becoming more sensitive. Like the kids these days, they're just so sensitive, right? Um, and worth mentioning too, like I don't know a lot about human design. That's like a different modality that I'm not as immersed in. But the dude who like channeled that system while in a cave in Ibiza in the 80s predicted there would be like a new energy type in 2027. So in human design, if you're not aware, we all have like a different energetic signature. So there's like manifesting generator, reflector, projector. So in 2027, there's going to be like a new energy type that's born called the rave. And these like rave children are like non-verbal, highly intuitive, emotionally aware. Who does that remind you of, right? Right? So, anyways, I went off a little bit there, but in this new era, this current era and new era, we're being asked to connect to what's going on in the world. Um, Not ignoring what's happening at home, not ignoring what's happening abroad, and connecting in with people, connecting in with the earth and other living creatures. Whatever contracts our ancestors had, whatever agreements our ancestors had with the animal kingdom, like we are breaching those contracts big time. So I don't even know what the repercussions are going to be there, or if we're going to, course correct. But it's time to engage. It's time to like engage in our lives rather than, disassociate, engage in our communities, right? More changes are going to be happening. Changes are going to happen, and more changes are going to happen quickly. So we're in a time where you can, prepare, become more resilient, fortify, really think about practicing resilience. Think about how you can fortify physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We could be more fortified. I'm just gonna say it. There's things that we need to like strengthen, and skills that we need to that we're invited to take a look at brushing up on. So I know it's like a bit of a cliche, but that whole like release what does not serve, like that's a big part of this time too. Cause like as all these planets are changing signs and they're retrograding back into their old sign, and we're seeing the shadows, it's like it is an opportunity to cut ties. It is an opportunity for us on that personal level, to form better habits, to improve mindset, to improve emotional intelligence, right? Every dark moon, every full moon, set those intentions to release what doesn't serve. Maybe it did at one point, honor it, respect it, whatever. Maybe it never did, but we got to make space for like this heaven on earth, for this new earth, this new world that we're manifesting together. So we can't be, yeah, stuck in the past and stuck in continuing with these patterns that just we're just not about it, right? And we do hold on to outdated patterns. Like this is just, this is how people are. Change is hard. So I'm not trying to be like harsh about it. I'm just trying to be like realistic, but also encouraging, because like we're all in the same place. We're all in this together. We all incarnated, at this time. So if we're wanting to move forward. Let's just say we're agreeing, okay, we're moving forward into the future. Humanity will survive, humanity will thrive. We're gonna keep going. Then we have this opportunity now because so much is ending and dropping off and dissolving. We have an opportunity to create a new and better world. So super exciting. Let go of what's holding you back. All the outdated beliefs, all the ways of being that are you've outgrown, right? Let them go and use that space, create space to imagine and to dream and to create this new paradigm that we're all manifesting. Strengthening your relationships and practical skills. Okay. Um, Connecting with others online is great, but in person too. You can meet around shared interests, affinity groups, and you can meet around like the desire to, develop certain practical skills, like joining a gardening club or whatever. And in-person interaction, it's like you're using different social muscles and practicing different social skills than when you're online, because you can't just like leave the Zoom room and turn your camera off and whatever, right? It's just different. In-person social skills for sure. So I don't know, like maybe you're here on this earth at this time because you have a role to play in creating this new earth. Maybe you have a role to play in this evolution of life or revolution even. I believe that we have chosen to incarnate, to be here at this time of great change, of immense potential and immense power. And the future is yet to be written, that we're the ones who get to influence with our choices, right? What's good for the community is good for the individual. If we serve the collective, we are serving ourselves. Individuals make up the collective. It's same, right? Put the collective first and you will be served. We don't have to do this work in isolation. We don't have to do it on our own. In fact, we are not meant to. Life is much, much better if we don't. Collaboration, not competition, is going to be our way forward. And during these extraordinary times, we all have different roles to play. Who have you come here to be? Who are you truly? So astrology and other systems has the answers. If you are getting to know yourself, what are my gifts? What are my responsibilities? So astrology has some codes, right? You can look at your sun sign for your evolution in this lifetime. You can investigate your North Node as your guiding North Star, your purpose, and you can look at your Mars placement to understand, what's going to motivate you. If this is lighting you up, if this is something that you are feeling called to, embodying your own unique gifts and responsibility, I will cover this in my upcoming program, The Celestial Spiral. This is the program I mentioned where I teach you how to interpret all aspects of your birth chart and embody your highest potential. And we do this through reconciling shadows, integrating shadows, reconciling oppositions. So it's not just like this is the ideal expression of Mercury and Capricorn in the seventh house, but this is how you're able to embody this, not just the wisdom, but the practical aspects of it as well. It's an 8-week, 6-week program, very comprehensive, 8 classes in total, but it's also foundational. So this program is for people who are called to learn the language of astrology and collaborate with cosmic energy on their own terms. So for some, we were just called to like receive readings and like read horoscopes and like that sort of thing. That's totally cool. But this class is for people who want to learn for themselves how to interpret the cosmic goings on and how it applies to them. When astrology called to me, I was very much looking for answers outside myself. I desperately wanted to understand what was going on in the world. It was crazy. That time was 2016. I don't know if you remember 2016. It was a lot. I couldn't have imagined that energy would be more intense. And this right now, it is more intense. Things have been ramping up, right? So, anyways, I started like studying more diligently and in 2016, and the rest is history. But I did start by looking completely outside of myself. It wasn't to get to know myself better, it was to understand what are the cycles. Why is history repeating itself? Doesn't everyone see what is going on here? What is happening? um that saying is something like, you know you look for God and you find yourself. So that was like, yeah, very much my experience. I was trying to understand, what was going on in the world. And um I did. I learned about what was happening through the lens of the cosmos, and I was absolutely able to get a handle on reality. But I found myself. I truly found myself, my own gifts, my own responsibilities, what is innate, what I've, who I've come here to be, what I've come here to do. So it's been an incredibly rewarding journey, and I love to, yeah, support others who are on similar paths. Even though we all have different journeys, there's definitely other people, who are called to learn astrology at this time, and I'm very much here to support you. I got to know and accept myself most authentically, and all of those different, like, seemingly irreconcilable parts, right? Astrology gave me everything. I learned to integrate my shadows, balance my oppositions. So many opportunities for healing came up, and lots of manifestation. Literally manifesting my dream life. I'm not exaggerating. When I learned how to honor the cosmic cycles and like really tap into my own sphere of influence, I worked that system, totally collaborated with the cosmos, manifesting my dream life. And yeah, and you can too. But it is up to us, right? The people who are here now, the people who are present in reality in this time in 2025, we're the ones who get to begin creating this new earth, this heaven on earth, the world that we want to live in, the world that we want to leave behind to future generations. Like, what kind of ancestor, what kind of ancestor would you like to be? All of this power, all of this potential around us. It's a extremely potent opportunity we have right now to live in alignment with our values. Really to be the change that we want to see. I know it's a cliche, but it's so true. We have that opportunity right now to be the change we want to see. And as I've said, like, we all have different roles to play in creating and imagining and building the form and the structure of this new reality, of this new earth, this heaven on earth. The old paradigm is crumbling, the systems are dropping off, we can see what's happening. um, and we are building the new, imagining the new, creating the new, before the current structures, the structures that are phasing out, that are expiring, before they completely collapse on us. We're building new structures of support where we can, look out for one another. So as we wind down, just gonna like zoom in a little bit more, and go over, like, some key dates, some keywords for us with these like three major transits that I've been talking about, right? So we have Uranus in Gemini. This is an 84-year cycle, meaning Uranus has not been in Gemini since 84 years ago, and Uranus is going to be in Gemini for 7 years. Stays they stay in a sign for 7 years. Uranus is unpredictable and disruptive. So, what this means, the synthesization of the planet Uranus in the sign of Gemini, it means like redistribution, and decentralization, redistribution of information, decentralization of information, getting more access to information, more people having access to more information. There's also more misinformation. that's the shadow of this energy we need to be aware of, right? There's going to be new ways of connecting, new ways of communicating, of sharing information, and new ways of being in community together, new relationships form, new technology, new social media apps, new ways of communicating, like we're seeing, in the telepathy tapes, and how that awareness is becoming more mainstream or more widespread, more known and acknowledged, recognized, right? Neptune will be in Aries for 14 years. Neptune spends about 14 years in a sign, so it has a 165-year cycle, meaning last time Neptune was in Aries was about 165 years ago. Neptune in Aries is like the fog is burning off. The mist is clearing and veils are lifting. Neptune in Pisces, like since 2011, was like an era of delusion. Totally rose-colored glasses, right? More Pisces than Pisces itself, because Neptune and Pisces are similar energies, right? Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So what this time is for the Neptune and Aries era, the next 14 years, is going to be like raising collective consciousness, taking action towards our dreams, taking powerful actions, powerful steps, building the structures that we see in our imagination, that we see in our dreams, because power is going to be dissolving. Neptune is a dissolver, and Aries is power. So there is going to be a disbursement or a dissolving of power that happens. Um, Aries is also martial, right? So there's that like warrior energy, standing up for ourselves, fighting for our rights, fighting for our attention, our right for sovereignty when it comes to who gets our attention, where is our attention going, taking that power back from the powers that be it like social media or whatever distractions, right? We are bombarded with distractions. We're taking our attention back, okay? Having sovereignty over our attention is so important in this era. Fighting for our rights, fighting for liberation. Spirituality is definitely still going to be, there's going to be holy wars. There's going to be people finding spirituality, finding cults, leaving New Age spirituality, becoming born again, right? So anything around spirituality and religion, because like Saturn and Neptune are in a conjunction for a while. That's bringing the form to the formlessness, the structure to the spirituality. So yeah, similarly to like when Saturn was in Pisces these last few years, we had this like, these things coming up. And I have like a pretty concise Instagram post about that era, the predictions that I made. It's like cults, religion, genocide, sobriety, new age, born again, right? Like these are themes that are going to be, yeah, in the collective awareness going forward as well. Then we have Pluto in Aquarius. This is the longest transit because Pluto is the slowest moving celestial body that we work with. Pluto has a 248-year cycle. So the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was 248 years ago. And they will stay in Aquarius for 20 years, from November 2024 through to March 2043. So Pluto is power struggles. And like I said, it's excavation, bringing to the surface what needs to be transmuted. So it's not pleasant. It's bringing up for us what needs to be transmuted, what needs to be alchemized in the realm of the collective, in the realm of humanity. So absolutely people's revolution, power to the people. If we're willing to fight for our rights, which Neptune conjunct Saturn and Aries is totally supporting us with, right? And sharing information a la Uranus and Gemini. It's a time for innovation, redistribution of power. And then, of course, yeah, the shadow is going to be like unnecessary innovations in technology, like that detachment of like, this good for humanity, or should we develop these weapons just because we can, because it's innovative technology, right? So very much being aware of those shadows too, because Pluto and Aquarius always brings new inventions, but we want the ones that are going to like make our lives easier, as opposed to like, just the, and shitification, right? Common threads. So like Aquarius is tech. Uranus is tech. Uranus is Aquarius's modern ruler. Aquarius is people. Gemini is also people. They're both earth signs. They relate to connections, to people, to communication, right? Aries is power and creation. Pluto's power and destruction. So you're seeing there's common threads. Neptune represents our imagination, our dreams, and mystical experiences. Aries is also imagination, that powerful creative spark, right? So lots of common threads to see what like the themes of this era are. Zooming in even further, really taking this in. I know it's a lot. Um, yeah, just want to, offer a couple of key takeaways, some guidance around staying empowered during these tumultuous times. And tumultuous means like disorganized and confusing. So it doesn't have to be bad, but I think it's like does speak, to like Neptune and to Uranus specifically. So I don't know. Okay, so here's my key takeaways for you, my guidelines for staying empowered during this shift of paradigms, right? Avoid isolation. Avoid isolation. Nurture the relationships that you have and build new relationships and build community. Connect with other people in person and online, but also in person. Reciprocity, reciprocity with nature, with people in your community, with those around you. Tell people that you love them, right? Tell people that you love them. You have gifts, you have responsibilities. Honor those gifts, honor those responsibilities. Build up soft skills and hard skills that relate to your gifts and your responsibilities. You have incarnated, you have gifts, you have responsibilities. Let's build up those skills, right? Practice resilience, fortification, fortify emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. We're being asked to be resilient in all of these areas and always continue releasing what doesn't serve. This is never going to get old. We never finish emptying out completely. There's also always something stagnant, that we could be letting go of. Energetic hygiene is super important. Clearing your energy, keep up with those energetic hygiene practices, clear your channel, keep your channel clear, ground, talk to your guides, talk to your spirit team, pray to your ancestors. You want to have a solid spiritual practice, a connection to the divine realms, right? Use your imagination every day, and have a daily creative practice if you can, because our imagination is powerful. We need to dream it. We need to imagine it before we can ground the new paradigm, ground the new earth as heaven on earth into reality. We have to be able to imagine things that we've never had before. So really having a strong creative practice, a strong imagination practice is going to be super supportive. And then same thing with like cognitive exercises. If you can like learn another language or just like, use your brain, but we got to practice critical thinking, because like things are going to get weird. Things are going to get really weird when it comes to technology. You think you can tell now what is AI and what's not? Like things are moving rapidly in these realms and stuff. So where you can opt out and instead, think for yourself, it's going to be a huge, huge benefit. Practice critical thinking. And finally, live in alignment with your values. Take small steps if you need. What is manageable, right? We can't change everything all at once, but what can you do? What is in your control? Being the change that you want to see. Become the best version of yourself. Tune in with your higher self and allow them to inspire you and to lead you to become that better version of yourself, right? You can use astrology for that as well, to see what the highest frequencies of your placements, of those different parts of you, what they are. We can use astrology as a great tool for becoming the best version of yourself. Heart-centered action and living a good life. So imagining, dreaming, and then taking steps towards making that dream a reality while living a good life, practicing reciprocity, serving the collective with heart-centered action. So I hope that this was helpful. It was sincerely my pleasure to be able to connect in with you today. I hope that you found this transmission empowering.